Guys, jumping into the haul, we're gonna start with cozy mysteries. So I have a stack. This is immense. So let's just hop right in. So one of the ones I was most excited to find at Goodwill is Murder in 3 Volumes by Lorna Barrett. This is the first 3 in the Booktown mystery series, and I got it for $2.29, so 3 books for less than $1 each, and this cover is adorable. Look at the cat right here. So this one takes place in Stoneham, New Hampshire, and what's unique about this is the town is literally a book town. The town was kind of dying off, and so community leaders decided to make it, like, redo it and like make it a bookish town. So all these booksellers line the streets. I'm so excited. Then what I got from a little free library vlog, I'll link it above, is the Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I have been meaning to get back into this. I tried picking it up last year and I just couldn't quite get into it. Sometimes British humor is a little hard for me, but I'm gonna give it another try. We'll see how it goes, but this one takes place at like a community center. It's like a retirement village. 4 unlikely friends meet and they end up working on the case of a murder of a local developer. So it's supposed to be extremely cozy. It's super popular. I'm sure you've probably seen it around, so when I saw this in a little free library, I was like, okay, I gotta snag it. Let's try it out. One that I have been wanting my library to get for the longest time, but they haven't got it, is Mimi Lee Gets a Clue by Jennifer J. Chow. This is a sassy cat mystery series. I love Jennifer J. Chow's LA Night Market series. I need to get the second book in that as well, but I really loved that series, and the start of it was just, the writing was beautiful. So what I love about this is that it is such a cat and pet centric mystery, and it takes place in a pet grooming shop, which I haven't read before. So Mimi Lee opens in Los Angeles a new grooming, like pet grooming shop, and she doesn't expect the first cat she speaks to, Marshmallow, to talk back. So this has like a talking cat. We're gonna see how that goes. But she, with the help of Marshmallow, the talking cat, learns that there is this person who's mistreating chihuahuas in the area, and she gets him, Russ, in trouble. Well, the next day he's found dead, and that's kind of what gets us into the cozy mystery. So I'm really excited. I love the covers for this. I feel like I need to read this summer because it just looks so summery. But I've been waiting and waiting impatiently to see if my library to get this, and it never did. So I was like, okay, we're grabbing it. My library did finally get this one in though, and that is Be My Ghost by Carol J. Perry. This is a haunted haven mystery. It takes place in Florida. It is supernatural. So our main character in this is Maureen, and she's hitting a snag with her sportswear career, and she needs to kind of move. And she also comes across Finn, who is kind of failing as a service dog. Apparently he's too friendly. Oh, poor guy, come on. So they decide to make a big move when she receives news about this big inheritance that she didn't expect in Haven, Florida. So they move out there, and she's inherited this big inn, and it seems like it's haunted. She also finds a body on the property, and that's her welcoming to New Haven. This one takes place right before Halloween, so I think that'll be fun because it's definitely feeling like summer now, and I am melting and ready for it to be fall. I'm already ready for it to be fall. Who else is with me? But that is the basic premise for this, and it just looks so cute. So this one I got at a used kind of local-ish bookstore, and I have never seen or heard of this before. Let me know if you have. It's called Murder of a Sleeping Beauty, a Scumble River Mystery by Denise Swanson. So as far as I know, this is a cozy mystery. I mean, it looks very cozy to me. What I think is interesting about this is our main character is a school psychologist. Her name is Skye, and she's just not having the greatest time with life. Her car's broke, she's having a minefield with her love life, things are a little rough. Well, it's not as bad as Sleeping Beauty because the girl who plays her, Lorelai, Sleeping Beauty in the play, ends up dead. And now Skye is trying to talk to students and staff and trying to sort out what happened as the parents at the school freak out, understandably. So I'm really curious about this one. I haven't heard anything. As far as I know, it's a cozy mystery, and I just was so attracted to this cover. It's such an interesting style. This one was published in 2002, so it's definitely a little bit of an older cozy mystery, and I'm really excited to dive in. This one I have been wanting to get ever since I talked about it in a new cozy mystery release video like a year or two ago, and that is Jane Darrowfield and the Madwoman Next Door by Barbara Ross. Does she need a doctor or a detective? So I found this at my used bookstore, and I was so excited. So Jane Darrowfield is a retiree, and she is working now as a neighborhood busybody, professional busybody, that's her thing, and she has this new neighbor, Megan, who moves in next door, and Megan is hearing things, she's paranoid, and Jane can't tell, is this some like kind of like illness, is she okay? But she's got this extensive security system, so you think she would be physically safe. You would think, except Meg disappears, and then Jane gets involved in the case trying to find her missing neighbor. So I'm really excited for this. It just looks unique. I love the beautiful green ring she's wearing. I don't know, but just the detail really caught my attention. And the orange cat, I don't know if that's her neighbor's cat or hers. We're gonna find out, but I'm really excited for that one. These next two I found at my library book sale, and you guys are entirely to blame because you guys kept saying these were so good, and I love the start to the Mountain Lodge mystery series by Diane Kelly, and so when I saw the House Flipper mystery series, I had to buy it because you guys were telling me it was really good, and I've already read some of the other series she writes and really enjoyed it, so I was like, normally I wouldn't buy two from a series I haven't read yet, but I was like, okay, I like her writing in the other series. So these are not the first books in the series, so I'm gonna see if my library does have those, but basically we have a carpenter, Whitney, and her cousin Buck, and they work on different house flipping projects and get involved in different cozy mystery escapades. That's kind of the premise. It says a cat and a can-do heroine, so we do have a cat there. I don't know where this takes place. It looks like it looks somewhere summery, like Florida or somewhere, because we have like the water here, but I'm not sure. So I am excited to dive into this though, because I really am enjoying Diane Kelly's writing in the Mountain Lodge mystery series, so this seemed like a pretty good bet, especially for like 50 cents a piece. One I'm so excited to have, this is a supernatural cozy mystery that I actually really love, at least the first book I loved, and this is Death by a Thousand Sips, a Witch's Brew mystery series by Gretchen Rue. And how cute is this cover? I saw that they finally got the second book in this series. And so our main character in this is Phoebe. This takes place in Raven Creek, Washington, and she's inherited her, like, a family member's like huge estate, and she's running this place called Earl's Tea, and it has both tea, which is magically infused, and a bookshop. So I mean, it's bookish and tea. Absolutely love both of those themes. And she also has discovered some supernatural powers in the first book, but she's starting to, in this book, kind of fit into her new home. She's starting to maybe get a little bit of a grasp on her magical powers and running the bookshop and everything, until an estate sale turns up a dead body. And that's where everything gets a little messy. So that's the general premise. Again, I'm not the biggest supernatural cozy fan, but I really remembered liking book 1. I read it at the very beginning of last year, and so I'm so excited to dive into book 2. This one, I just couldn't pass up the title. It's called The Dinner Lady Detectives by Hannah Hendy, and it's described as a delightfully and quintessentially British cozy mystery. So our main characters in this are Marjorie and Clementine, and they work serving like kids in like a lunchroom, it sounds like. Well, they find the kitchen manager dead one day, and the police are determined to call this like an accidental death, but they are convinced otherwise. So basically they get involved in the case. So again, I'm slightly nervous because, again, like I said, British cozy, just British writing in general can be a little hit or miss with me, but this one just looked so cute. And it says, someone in Dewstow has an appetite for murder. This next book, I'm embarrassed it took me this long to check it out from my library, but I have it. We're here. And that is by Jenn McKinlay. I've read both her Cupcake Mystery Series and her Library Lovers Mystery Series. I'm caught up on both, but I've never started her Hat Shop Mystery Series. And so this is Cloche and Dagger. I own a couple of them used, but I wanted to start with book 1. So this one takes place with two cousins. We have our main character, it sounds like Scarlett, and she's from America, and her love life is in the loo, as her cousin Vivian would say, and an embarrassing video gone viral has made it even worse. So her cousin suggests that she comes over to London, where they have the milliner, the hat shop that she runs, which was bestowed to them both from their grandmother. So she goes out there, but when she gets there at the airport, her cousin isn't waiting for her. It's like the business manager, and she's confused because they can't find her cousin. So she gets involved trying to sleuth around, find her cousin. No one's too concerned at first because her cousin's known for being unpredictable, but when one of her customers at the hat shop shows up dead, then they're really determined to find Viv. So that's the premise for this. I'm so excited. I love the setting of London. I think that's gonna be fun. I've never read a hat shop mystery. I don't even know if there are other hat shop mysteries out there. Let me know if you do, but that's just such a fun, quirky theme, so I can't wait to dive in. This one's called Charlotte Isles is Not a Detective by Katie Siegel. So this involves a childhood sleuth. So as a kid, Charlotte was like a kid sleuth, and she was actually a minor celebrity. She was really good at it. But when she reaches high school, she like hangs up her sleuthing gear. Now fast forward to 25 years old, and she's realizing and having this nagging fear that maybe she peaked. And she decides to maybe take up sleuthing again, and that's when the phone rings with a case. But she's discovering that as an adult, people are a little more willing to go after you, and the risks are higher. Because as a kid, she was able to crack the case and still get her homework done. Well, now she's worrying about actual dead bodies and like some real cases. So that's the general premise for this. I'm really intrigued by this. It just sounds fun. I think the second book in the series is actually coming out this year, so I want to really dive into this one and make sure I like it and try to get my hands on the book too, if that's the case. I picked this one up for just like $1 or so. It's MC Beaton's Death of a Scriptwriter, a Hamish Macbeth mystery. I've been told by you guys it's really good, and I actually have 1 or 2 of these sitting on my TBR cart that I need to get to. But I just couldn't pass up this cover. I know that's a poor reason. So Hamish Macbeth is like a small town like detective or private eye, it sounds like, in Scotland, and he is missing his love when a dead body shows up in town, and this mystery writer Patricia is blamed for it. So that's the script writer, I'm thinking, is related to her somehow. Maybe she worked for her or something, and he gets involved in the case. I love a Scottish setting. It's like just the most beautiful, idyllic setting ever, and I'm really excited to dive into this. This is the book I'm currently reading, and that's Smile Beach Murder by Alicia Bissett, an Outer Banks bookshop mystery. This has the most beautiful cover. I mean, just the colors, the contrast, everything about this I adore. So Callie is a reporter. She's laid off from her job, and she returns home to the Outer Banks where her uncle who raised her lives, because her mother unfortunately died when she was like 12 years old. And she is not in town that long when she gets a job at a bookshop, which I love. We got the reporter element, we got the bookshop element, And unfortunately, a woman dies the same way her mother did at the lighthouse, and it's like very eerie, the similarities. And so Callie gets involved with the case. And she does this despite the police thinking that this person took their own life. She really believes that there's more to it and that Eva did not take her own life. So that is that. I don't want to give any more details, but there's some really great tropes in this. I'm almost done. I have like 80 pages left, so I'm probably going to finish this tonight, but I'm loving it. We have next Murder on an Irish Farm by Carleen O'Connor. This is an Irish village mystery. I feel like a few of you have said you really enjoyed this, and this one takes place with a wedding in Ireland, so I thought this would be a perfect setting for summer. So the whole O'Sullivan family is prepared at this wedding. They're getting ready. It's really exciting until the groom disappears, and then the brother, James, comes running saying that he found a skeleton in like this farmhouse or something. So they follow him and they find a skeleton dressed in a tux, and now they're wondering, was this the groom that disappeared like 50 years ago? And where is today's groom? I think that sounds like a blast. I think this cover is so cozy and just fun and like lighthearted looking, so I can't wait for that. Okay, next we're gonna dive into general mystery. A lot of these are still kind of on the cozier side, but I have a small group of those, and then we'll dive into thrillers. First I have The Other Half by Charlotte Bassel. You Know How They Live, This Is How They Die. This one takes place with, it's like a modern whodunit with an aristocratic family, and basically Rupert is celebrating his 30th birthday. Well, the next morning his girlfriend or like fiance Clemmy is found dead with a silhouette kicking out of like a bush like that, and now everyone is being investigated, and this includes the aristocrats, Instagram influencers, like just everyone I guess you see who's very well off. And the detective Champ is on the case, and he's trying to sort through all these Instagram influencers and London aristocrats and socialites, and it's just a mess, and he's having a hard time kind of navigating their world. But that's kind of the general premise for this. I think this is on the fairly cozy side, but because it involves a detective as the main character, it's maybe less of a cozy mystery. I don't know, we'll see. One that I am buddy reading with my friend Maddie is Sense and Second Degree Murder by Tirzara Price. This is the second in the Jane Austen murder mystery series, and it's based off of Sense and Sensibility, which I haven't read. I read Pride and Premeditation, which is the first book in the series, and that's based on Pride and Prejudice, which I have read and have like seen the movie for. I'm going into this one not knowing anything really, but we're following multiple sisters, and our main one I think we're kind of following is Eleanor, and she's an aspiring scientist, and she finds her beloved father slumped over at his desk, and the police think it's like a heart attack or something like that, but she thinks otherwise, and so her and her sisters start to dig into it because they're in a very financially precarious situation and they want justice for their father. So that's kind of the premise for this. I love the covers for this. They are so beautiful, that kind of embroidery style look. Another one I'm nervous about is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. So I tried reading Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, which is the first book in this series, and it wasn't the hit that I wanted it to be. I just had a hard time, like the writing was very witty, but it was like very self-aware and like in your face witty, and it got like a little grating after a while for me. But this one just sounded so good, so I was like, okay, we're gonna try. So this involves our main character from the first book, Ernest, and he is invited to this writer's retreat on a train going through Gone, and he is very, very excited until one of them ends up dead, and all of these mystery writers on the train turn into detectives. But one of them had to do it because it's a locked room mystery. They're on a train, like who else would have done it? So I think that is such a good premise, and I'm really hoping, I'm like, okay, this one, it could be it. Maybe I don't know, maybe it was just a bad night with that other book, but we're gonna try this one and we're gonna see how it turns out. And then this next one was really kindly sent to me by Kensington Publishing. This is called Echoes of Memory by Sarah Driscoll, and I love the idea of this. So I think this is like part mystery, part thriller. We have our main character, Quinn. She's a florist. The reason this is called Echoes of Memory, and it says, if memories are your identity, what are you without them? Basically, our main character is a San Diego florist, Quinn, and she has unfortunately gone through a really bad trauma, both mentally and physically. She was attacked, and like previously before this book starts, and she has like post-traumatic like brain injury, so she cannot remember basically anything without the help of like her notebook. So she she has like no short-term memory basically. So she remembers things before the attack, but the new memories that she's trying to gain on a daily basis aren't sticking. So she uses like a notebook to try to track things down. Well, one night she actually witnesses a murder, and she's the only witness that the police have. But how much, you know, and so it's kind of about her trying to piece together her memories, trying to come to terms with that. It's recommended for fans of Memento, Karen Slaughter, or Megan Golden's Stay Awake. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. So it's her grappling with post-traumatic amnesia and using her razor-sharp wit and piece together her fragmented notes before it's too late in the standalone thriller. I did see it was classified as a mystery on Goodreads, so take that as you will, but okay guys, jumping into thrillers now. So we have Missing White Woman by Kelly Garrett. So this one is one that was on my most anticipated thriller releases. I'll link the video above. But our main character in this is really excited because she's going on this romantic getaway with her boyfriend. And unfortunately around the same time there is this missing white woman who's just flooding the news. Like the news are really giving her a lot of attention, which is great, but if you're familiar with the term missing white woman syndrome, it's just about how unfortunately like white women, especially younger women, especially richer women, tend to get a lot more attention in the media if they're missing or there's a crime against them than people of, you know, people of color, people of other socioeconomic status, and it's terrible. But this thriller kind of explores that. And unfortunately during the romantic getaway, she goes downstairs one day, her boyfriend is gone, and that missing white woman is dead on the kitchen floor. And she's just like, she's just shocked because she has no idea where her boyfriend is. She's never met this woman before, and this is a thriller about her trying to piece things together and find things out before it's too late and see if her boyfriend's in danger, who knows. So I love this. I think the cover is beautiful. I love this like gradient that they did. Absolutely stunning, so I'm really excited to read this. So the next one I got was Her Dark Lies by J.T. Ellison. I found this at Goodwill, and I've never heard of this, but it looked just so good. And on the front of this, it says, fans of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca will want to check out this compulsively readable tale. And Rebecca's one of my all-time favorite classics, or suspense novels, period. So basically we have our main character Claire in this, and she's an up-and-coming artist. She's getting married to a wealthy man, and it's off of the coast of Italy. So she arrives at this island, and she's quickly unsettled because like strange things happen. There's like skeletons on the island, there's secrets, a ruined wedding dress, menacing texts, and the mystery around Jack's first wife. You had me hook, line, and sinker with that, so I cannot wait for this. One that I got at Barnes & Noble, this was a little bit of a splurge because, man, buying thrillers, especially like cozy mystery mass market paperbacks, you know, it's like $8-9, okay, but thrillers, even the paperback ones, whew, like this was like $17 before my Barnes & Noble membership, but it was like, ouch. But I'm really hoping I like this. It was kind of a gamble because I've read one book by this author and it was kind of not my favorite, but the premise for this sounded so good. It's called The Trap by Catherine Ryan Howard. So we kind of have, it sounds like, 3 different points of view. We have Lucy. Her sister Nikki disappeared a year ago after she went to the pub. She never returned, and it's just a waking nightmare for her, and she wants to figure out what happened to her sister. Then we're following a different character. She's a female, and she really wants to move up in the ranks and be respected with the Garda, which is like the Irish police force, because right now she's kind of like a pencil pusher, so she gets involved in the case somehow with that. And then we have a man who's telling someone in the backseat of his car all about his past victims, and I'm assuming that's the guy behind all this and something along those lines, but it just sounds so ominous. I really want to save this for fall because just this cover, like this, looks so moody and mysterious, although Summerween's coming up, so I'm also like, do I read it for that? I don't know. We're gonna find out, but this just looked so good, so I'm really hoping I liked it because it was a penny. It was a pretty penny. So this one, I've read one book by this author. It's Lisa Unger, and this is called Angel Fire. I am really curious. This is a psychological thriller. I read Lisa Unger's The Couple in 5B, something like that, earlier this year, and I really loved it. So this kind of made me aware of her writing, and I saw this at a used bookstore for just like $1, and I was like, well, let's give it a try. Our main character is Lydia Strong, and the childhood murder of her mother has turned her into a very obsessive, justice-seeking woman, as it would understandably do to many of us, I'm sure. And as an adult, she is a true crime writer. She's an investigative reporter, and nobody seems to notice when these 3 boys in her town disappear except for her. And she gets involved in the case, and she also contacts like an FBI agent she knows, and soon someone is after her. It sounds so foreboding. I can't wait. Saw this and I love the cover for this so much. It really drew me in. It's called Then She Was Gone, a novel by Lisa Jewell. An acutely observed family drama with bone-chilling suspense. The cover is so pretty, and this sounds so creepy. So we have Ellie, who is the daughter of our main character, Laurel, and we are following Laurel 10 years after Ellie's disappearance. She never got closure for what happened to her daughter. Did she run away? Did something like foul play happen? We don't know. Well, she gets involved with this man, and shortly after, his daughter, Poppy is the splitting image of what Ellie would look like. And so this reignites like Laurel's desire to find out what happened to her daughter, and also, is something strange going on? I don't know, but with Lisa Jewell, you know it's going to be good. Then I saw The Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh, and this is supposed to be a really heartbreaking, intense thriller. This sounds so creepy. This is like right out of a nightmare, but for fiction, I'll take it. So our main character in this is Emma. She's married to Leo, her husband, and they have a daughter, Ruby, and she would do almost anything for her husband. She adores him. Well, when she becomes seriously ill, she's hospitalized, and Leo turns to what he does best. He writes obituaries. He's a writer. That's his profession, and he dives into his wife's life, only to find out that everything she has told him over the years is a lie. She's not who she says she is. Thrillers like these freak me out so much. I'm like, okay, like, we can't think about this too hard. That's scary. That's so scary, but it's so good for a thriller. And so all these dark moments from Emma's past are emerging, and Leo must really confront, like, does he still love this woman? And what is the other love of her life? Like, something maybe in her past? I don't know, but I am so creeped out. Just reading the summary for this sent chills through me. So that's when I knew I had to take it home. This one was a arc that was very generously sent to me. It is already launched. It's already released. It came out in May, but it's by Charlie Donlea, and it's called Long Time Gone. And I am very, very intrigued. So I haven't read anything by this author before, but the premise for this and the design of this, like, look at this. They really put a lot of thought into the packaging on this. I really like it. So this is about a DNA test, it sounds like, where the results reveal a disturbing connection to the mysterious disappearance of a famous baby nearly 3 decades ago. And a woman's search for answers bring her to this small town in Nevada to finally get these answers about baby Charlotte. It's the general premise. It looks really cool. I really want to read this summer because of it just looks kind of summery to me. And yeah, thank you again to the publisher for sending that to me. I can't wait to try it out. Okay, so I checked out The Block Party by Jamie Day. I have already picked this up. Like I said, I've been collecting these books, so I have read a couple of them. I DNF'd this. I DNF'd it like 60 pages into. This isn't a thriller to me. This is like a family drama, and the main character was absolutely so insufferable. I couldn't stand. I couldn't read from her perspective any longer. I just wanted to like pull my hair out. So you're following the residents of Alton Road, and it's a very idyllic neighborhood. It's beautiful. It's like the very sought after, you know, pretty wealthy people live there, and they have this yearly block party that's like the big to-do. Well, you start off the book and you know that someone died at last year's block party, but you don't know who, and you're reading from a year ago, like leading up to it. I just couldn't stand the main character, and it just was so slow. Not my favorite, but I did want to include it in case anyone is curious about that thriller. Those were my thoughts on it. So I've been on some reading sprints recently, and a bunch of people I've been on reading sprints were saying that their favorite Riley Sager was Final Girls. So I decided to finally pick that up myself. I've read several other Riley Sagers, and besides The House Across the Lake, I've really enjoyed them. So 10 years ago, a college student named Quincy barely escaped this like horrible slaughter. Like, she was at this like cabin with friends like during college, and someone attacked all of them. Her friends are all dead. She barely escaped running through the pine forest to get away. So she and some other girls who escaped like similar situations where they were the only survivor have been dubbed the Final Girls by like the press. And she's not really in too much contact with one of them, but she knows them, and she, you know, respects them, and, you know, just the fact that they can relate to each other, because of course that's a very unique situation not a lot of people could specifically relate to, I'm sure. But what happens is one of the final girls ends up dying, and Quincy gets involved, and then a different final girl shows up at her door asking questions and bringing up past issues and things like that. So that's kind of the premise for this. I'm really intrigued because Riley Sager, besides The House Across the Lake, which is one I just don't, I can't. People either love it or hate it. That's been my interpretation of what I've seen. People either love it or hate it. I hate it. I couldn't do it. But every other Riley Sager I've loved, so I'm really excited for this one. A new thriller release that I finally got from my library that it's been on hold and it arrived is Blood Sisters, a novel by Vanessa Lilly. So I am really, really excited for this. Okay, so our main character in this is Sid Walker. She's an archaeologist, and she's somebody who actually spends a lot of time trying to protect the history of the land, especially the indigenous culture, even though she's kind of running from her own past, it sounds like, as a Native American. And what happens is basically her sister goes missing. She goes back to home for the first time in a while, it sounds like, and she gets involved in the disappearance. I think this might be more mystery than thriller. It says mystery. I thought it was a thriller. Maybe it's kind of both, but I'm just gonna throw that out there just in case you're like strictly a thriller person. But I'm really excited about this. I love a family connection to a case like that because I feel like it just makes it so compelling. I'm interested in learning more about how she uses her archaeology skills maybe to help investigate. And this is also kind of discussion into, unfortunately from what I understand, a lot of Native American women go missing and their cases are often just kind of abandoned, not really looked into, and so Sid is determined to not let her sister become one of those statistics, basically. So I'm sure it's going to delve into that as well into the book. So I'm really interested in this. I feel like it's going to be a really deep read, so I'm excited about this mystery. One that I found at Goodwill that just immediately, like the minute I saw the spine, I was like, oh, that's going to be a win. It's called The Second Mother by Jenny Milchman, and this is supposed to be very gothic, moody, and atmospheric. You got me right there. Those 3 words, you already sold me. And the cover is just stunning. So Julie Weathers comes to this remote Maine island, and she's not sure if she's running away, starting over, but she's happy to be there and just to fresh start, basically. She starts to get involved in local community, and including this man who's recently moved out there for similar reasons, it seems, and with the local children. But as she starts teaching the local, like, island's children, she starts to notice some strange things, and she's wondering if she's traded one problem for another. So I'm not sure if this is more thriller or mystery, but it does sound very ominous and like foreboding. I think it's more thriller, but I just, oof, like it gives me the chills reading this. This one looks like the perfect summer thriller. It's called You Can Trust Me by Wendy Hurd, and we have the beautiful like beachy or like waterfront setting. So we have 2 friends, Summer and Leo, and they would do anything for each other, and they're both kind of escaping from their past. They're in California, they're on a road trip, but even these free spirits have to pay bills, and they pickpocket. They kind of like cheat, they pickpocket. That's how they make enough to get by. Well, Leo kind of stumbles across this wealthy man who takes an interest in her, and he invites her to his exclusive island, and she goes with the intention to maybe steal something valuable or, you know, really score big for them, basically. But she never returns, and so Summer has to infiltrate the island herself to find out what happened to her friend. Ooh, that sounds so creepy. I love it. I love a good like duo like this. It sounds super interesting, and I just couldn't resist this cover for a summer thriller read. One that I found in a used bookstore was Too Good to Be True by Carola Lovering, and this is an old Book of the Month edition. I generally have very good luck with Book of the Month thrillers. I tend to really like them. I've really only had one big flop from the Book of the Month thrillers that I've read. This one says 1 love story, 2 marriages, 3 versions of the truth. And this one came out in March 2021, at least that's when the Book of the Month sent it out. So we have our present timeline with Sky Starling, and she is overjoyed when her boyfriend proposes. She can't believe he wants her because he's just like this perfect guy. He's really rich, he's got everything put together, and she's someone who's pretty scrappy. She's struggling with her OCD. It's something she's just really gone through the ringer with, but she's had this whirlwind romance with him, and she can't wait until she finds out he's already married and been using her for his own means. What a nightmare. And then we're reading another perspective 30 years earlier when a young 17-year-old girl gets involved with someone who shares the same name as this groom-to-be. So I don't know if they're the same person. I don't know how we'll find out, I guess. But he's kind of a bad boy and there's some issues there, and Skye is continuing in the present time to throw herself into wedding planning, ignoring red flags, and Burke's schemes get more twisted. So I love a good domestic thriller. I love like a past and present like connection with like a really good twist or something, so I'm so excited for this. Like, oof. Okay, we have 2 more thrillers. We have Secrets of Our House by Rhea Frey. I got this for $1 and I thought the cover was really interesting. So this one is described as a thrilling domestic drama. Our main character is Desi, and she's designed the house of her dreams in the forest. It's beautiful, it's extravagant, and it also hides lots of secrets. So it hides secrets about the man who's not her husband, and when her family arrives from Chicago to the home, her 17-year-old daughter falls in love with the local boy for the first time, and Desi's past is starting to catch up with her. Her secrets and the home secrets are coming out, and this is kind of just, it's all being propelled forward at once. So I love a good drama like this. This sounds really engaging. And then last but not least, I'm not sure if this is young adult or not, but it's called Good Girls Lie by J.T. Ellison. And this is the cover. It feels kind of like it could be young adult. So the good school is known as the Silent Ivy. This is where the daughters of the elite, the wealthy, the rich and famous all go. And it's a school with secrets, lots of secrets. And when the popular girl is found dead, those secrets need to come out. That's the basic premise for this. I do love a good school setting for a drama or thriller. I feel like it's just the nice closed, tenuous setting. So I'm really excited for this. So we'll see. I haven't read anything by this author, but that is that. And then this last section is kind of just a mixed bag. We have some classics, we have some nonfiction, we have a couple of random. It's just random. It's random. So let's go ahead and dive in, but there's some interesting ones here, so definitely stay tuned. The first one that this makes me want to cry. So I was celebrating an occasion with my husband recently, and we like to go to bookstores and stuff we just love bookstores, so that's just our thing in general. And I've been looking for a special copy of this book for a very long time because it's probably my favorite classic ever. And that's Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And I have my old copy, which I will never get rid of. But it is old, it has no dust jacket, it is not beautiful on the outside at least. And I really have wanted a beautiful copy to like display on my bookshelf because it's such, I can't even explain this. The words in this book are like written on my heart and soul. That's how much I love this book. And this cover has caught my attention. I've seen so many beautiful editions of this book, but I've never had one where I was like, that's it, that's the one. And when I saw this, my heart just was like, and it was the one. It was the one. And so I got this, and it's so beautiful. Look at the spine. Even if I don't have it facing forward, the spine alone, so beautiful. And then look at the inside here. It just is beautiful. I mean, I love this book. I would very rarely buy a second copy of a book just to have, because it seems maybe a little bit much, but I do really, this has just been like a goal of mine for years, and I've held off for years because I never found the one, and this was it. So I'm so excited. If you're not familiar with Little Women, it's about 4 women, little women. They're growing up, they're teens at the time of the book's beginning, and it goes into their young adulthood, but they're 4 sisters, the March sisters. They're growing up under the care of Marmee, their mother, while their father is away at war, and they go through a lot of struggles financially, emotionally, mentally, but it's just about their growth and their beauty as a family, and it's just, each girl is so special. So I highly recommend this classic. It is the coziest, the most heartwarming, the most like sentimental classic I've ever read, I think. I just love it. Okay, I'm done gushing. Let's move on. Okay, so both my husband and I do really enjoy history, so we saw this and we were like, let's get it. This is called The History Buff's Guide to the President's Top 10 Rankings of the Best, Worst, Largest, and Most Controversial Facets of the American Presidency. I thought this was such an interesting idea because it ranks the presidents. So top 10 presidential pastimes, top 10 Machiavellian presidents, top 10 closest races, like in terms of presidential races, landslides, most controversial elections, top 10 assassinations and attempts, doctrines, influential first ladies. Like, it just kind of, and for me at least, I feel like this is a way that like the ranking really makes the history like stick and more engaging than just reading like a just like a profile on each president. So I thought this just sounded like a very interesting way to kind of look at the like American history. So I thought that sounded good. This I was so excited for. My husband actually found this for me when we were at Goodwill, and it's The Real World of Sherlock Holmes, The True Crimes Investigated by Arthur Conan Doyle. It's by Peter Costello. I had no idea that Arthur Conan Doyle actually investigated true crimes, and many of these inspired Sherlock Holmes stories. And it basically says here, Sherlock Holmes' methods of deduction and observation were actually those of his creator and were used in order to solve real crime. I had no idea. This just sounds so interesting to me. Yeah, I had literally no idea. Did you guys know that? Because maybe I just didn't, but I couldn't believe that when I saw it. I was like, oh, super interesting. A classic I picked up. You guys know I do really enjoy an illustrated classic. I've recently discovered that, and last year it's really made some more enjoyable for me, and I've been meaning to read this for a while, and this just stood out to me. It's The Picture of Dorian Gray, the illustrated edition by Oscar Wilde. I got this at Barnes & Noble for, I think it was $12, I want to say. And the basic premise of this is Dorian Gray is apparently a very beautiful young man. His friend Basil offers to paint his portrait, and when the portrait's done, Dorian realizes that although the picture is very beautiful, that he will one day age, and like he sees his youth fading, and he declares he would sell his soul to remain young and beautiful forever. And that's the general premise. So I've just been really interested in this one for a while, and it's a pretty short classic, but it just like, look at these illustrations. Yeah, couldn't resist it. It's so beautiful. I am very much looking forward to reading this. This is a book I bought that I actually have read before, but it's one I've been wanting to purchase because I really found it so just inspiring, and that's called On Writing by Stephen King, a memoir of the craft. And I have read this before. I really enjoyed it. I've never actually read Stephen King's novels because I'm a scaredy cat, and I've checked one or two out from the library, and then I've just chickened out. Like, I don't know if I can do it. I've never read like a true horror, and I don't know if I'm there. We'll see. Maybe I will be one day. But this basically goes through Stephen King's process, how he became a writer, what his writing routine has been like over the years, and I just found it so fascinating as a writer myself. I don't write fiction, at least not right now, but I do find it super interesting just seeing the behind the scenes of writers' lives and artists in general. So this is such an interesting memoir, and you can, even just reading this, even though it's not his fiction that he's known for, the writing was so eloquent. And it was just, everything was so, like the imagery in it was so evocative. I really, really enjoyed it, so I can't wait to read this again. Another kind of history thing that my husband and I decided to go in on was the American Film Institute desk reference, which I know sounds like a good time maybe, but this is the complete guide to everything you need to know about the movies, introduced by Clint Eastwood. So I really am bad with pop culture, like just everything, even pop culture from like my teens, like, which is I think when most of us maybe have the best memories of like current pop culture, I guess, because it's coming out when we're emerging as teens and young adults. I don't know. I really am bad with music, films, movies, TV shows. Like, it's just something I'm not very good at. But I do find old movies and stuff interesting, and this breaks down the different decades of movies, what was famous. Like, here we have Star Wars, of course, in the 1970s, and it also goes into the changing fundamentals of like the craft and how writing and filming and like the actual practice of making movies has changed over the years. So I found that to be interesting. Again, I just love the behind the scenes of creative work, so I thought this sounded super interesting, and maybe it'll help me expand my pop culture knowledge a little bit. So this next one's called Shift Your Habit by Elizabeth Rogers, and she's the co-author of The Green Book. So this is basically a book all about changing your habits for the better, switching to more moderate and efficient ways that are better for you and better for the environment. So it kind of goes over, I just kind of saw this and picked it up on a lark at the library. It goes to like foods, you know, home and garden, like how to clean more efficiently or to like prevent leaks, like water wasting and stuff like that. I would never say I'm like the biggest environmentalist ever or something like that. I'm certainly not extreme in any ways, but if I can find a couple good habits that'll save me money, be better for the earth, all that all in one go, then I thought this sounded interesting. Okay guys, and that is all of it. I think I have about 40 books here. Wow. So this was definitely a haul over about 5 weeks of different Goodwill visits, different used bookstores, Barnes & Noble, and then several pickups at the library actually. So this was definitely a massive one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you would like to see more. I have done one of these before where I did come book shopping with me. I'll link it above, as well as a bookish cozy mystery vlog where I took you guys to Barnes & Noble. I'll link that above as well. So definitely hit those, check those out if you haven't already. Hit subscribe if you're not. I do post new book content every week on this channel, and if you enjoy cozy reads, mysteries, thrillers, I talk about those frequently, so I think we'll have a great time together, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!